you very much, Mr. Page.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Mike Carey. I'm here today with David Pogue from my office. We have the pleasure of representing the contestees, Mr. Rainey, who's seated right next to Mr. Pogue, and Mr. Bowman, who's seated at the end of the table. Mr. Rainey is the candidate for the County Commission, and Mr. Bowman is the candidate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carey. All right, we are scheduled here for several matters. We initially scheduled this hearing to conduct a status or pretrial conference, and also we have a motion for summary judgment that needs to be discussed. There may be some procedural issues that need to be developed and resolved in that regard. In terms of the status conference, gentlemen, what do we have to take out?
Your Honor, the first thing I believe we should take out, you and I and Mr. Carey discussed this on telephone during one of our phone conferences, was some document needs to be in the file vesting jurisdiction in this court for you to assume jurisdiction. I filed earlier this week what I captioned as an application for an original writ. During the course of our conversation on the phone, we discussed it certainly would be a manifest injustice if this contest couldn't be heard because there's no tribunal in Lincoln County here. Two of the three county, well, one county commission, Mr. Bowman, can't preside because he's a candidate. It's a matter of law. The other two, Mr. Vance, there's a question about his residency that's got to be decided, and Mr. McCann volunteered to recuse himself, and so did the judges in the circuit. So I did some research, and the only thing I could find that sort of fit this situation, was there was a document, perhaps an original writ, as part of the common law of England, that no jurisdiction existed to hear a cause or defense a case. The king could sign a letter calling against the original writ, and that would be bestowed on whoever he appointed or on himself the authority to hear and decide a case. And, that's what we captioned it. That's what I captioned it. I prepared an order which would grant that writ, and the court would take assume jurisdiction here and decide the cause to have the same force and effect that they were heard and decided by the County Commission of Lincoln County. I've endorsed that order, says Mr. Carey. I'd like to present it to the court if you're supposed to.
Thank you very much. I'll be happy to assume jurisdiction, and if I can sign as the king, that's even better.
Yes, indeed. It's good to be king.
That's right.
A lot of prerequisites go with that all.
All right, the order is proper, and it will this day be entered. Very well. What next do we need to discuss, counsel?
This is a matter of information for counsel, or at least my side of the equation. And now that this matter is in the circuit court, you have assumed jurisdiction. We're not going to have to issue a number of subpoenas in this case. Now, if this is a circuit court case of a civil nature, it's going to be governed by the rules of civil procedure, the trial court rules, that I'll be signing those subpoenas. If it still has the character of a county commission matter being heard by the court, I'll have to get the county clerk, I believe, to sign the subpoena. So I don't want to run into that down the road where a witness says, well, this is not a circuit court proceeding, so I don't have to repeat it. We might, and once you assume jurisdiction, it becomes a matter of civil nature, and the RCP applies.
That's what I would prefer to do, and I think we're all familiar with that process, and we understand it well, and we'd all be better off if we do that. Any objection, Mr. Carey?
None at all, Your Honor.
Very well.
The third thing I'd like to bring up, would the court prefer an exchange of witness identities between the parties prior to the time we get here?
Yes.
Do you have a time frame in which the court would prefer to have that done?
I'll listen to you folks. I'll set a time frame if you can't agree on one, but I would prefer that you folks select a date. We have the trial date coming up very quickly, so it seems to me that you could do it within the next week or so, but I'm flexible.
Well, I will defer so much with Mr. Carey. As he has to defend the matter, I can get him a list of the witnesses that I'll be calling. I believe probably by noon next Wednesday.
All right.
I've got to meet with a couple is I can get you a list Wednesday, and then he could look that over and maybe respond by the following Tuesday.
Yes, Your Honor, if I could have Tuesday.
Sure.
All right, because I'm going to be on vacation next week, so
That's right.
we'll try to get you responsive by Tuesday. We'll do it by Tuesday.
That's agreeable to the court.
And I presume since we're the contestants, that we bear the burden, we'll be first.
Exactly. All right, I have read the file. Whenever we set the trial date, that was before I had an opportunity to study the case file. I'm wondering if we can do this in 3 days. We may have been overly optimistic when we selected 3 days. Do you folks still think that we can conclude the matter within the time frame?
Well, I'm always coming up with you. I'm serious, I really think that we can. I mean, Mr. Carey, there are some things that we can probably stipulate that will cut down on the number of witnesses. For instance, some of this voter information from adjoining counties, I'm going to provide Mr. Carey with the names and the telephone numbers of the deputy clerks who provided me that information. And maybe we can agree if it's accurate with this dispense with 6 witnesses right there. There's some information from the Secretary of State's office. We can agree that these documents downloaded from the website are authentic. We can eliminate 1 witness right there.
Well, I'm hopeful that you can stipulate on things, and I would be very appreciative if you folks could schedule an informal meeting between yourselves for an hour or 2 and sit down and go through it and see if you can stipulate before we get to trial, because that would streamline the process. I'll tell you, in Raleigh County, I listen to the lawyers, and they say, I only take 2 days for this trial. We automatically double that to make sure that we have enough time for everybody. And so hopefully we can get done in 3 days, particularly if you all stipulate to some of the evidence.
My calendar is open for the rest of that week, if I could, we have to do over it. It'll help things because it's a bench trial. You don't have to worry so much about objection. You know what the law is, you know what evidence you can consider. I don't intend to lodge a lot of technical objections to the form of the question, maybe leading when it starts to hurt, you know. But other than that, I mean, you know the law, and you have rules of evidence, so it should be more quickly than they have jury involved.
That's an argument testifying, I'm not going to use that.
Can't do that. I prefer to do a lot of that.
In all the public records, Your Honor, I'm sure we can stipulate to that. In fact, most of them will be simply self-authenticated copies anyway, so we can eliminate all the records test evidence.
All right. Well, I certainly will appreciate that. Very well, counsel. What further do we have to discuss for the purpose of our status hearing?
Start time. What time do you prefer to start for?
Well, 10 o'clock is awfully good for me because it takes about an hour and 35 to 40 minutes for me to get here. That's later than we normally do. You folks are out of town too, and you have to drive in. We could make it at 9 o'clock and we could just get up a little earlier.
You know, 10 might be better, Your Honor. When you start subpoenaing these witnesses, you know, they show up at the courthouse. It takes a little while in the morning to get them lined up. Some people won't show up, call 10 o'clock may be a better time. Some of those to the rural parts of this county, over on Duval, Allen Creek, America side, which is considerable drive from here.
Yeah, 10's fine.
10 o'clock is fine with me, and that gives me plenty of time to get here. And we may go a little bit late